All right, welcome back, guys, to Powerstroke Tech Talk podcast. This is number 12, and we got quite a few dudes here tonight. Got a few newcomers. We got DS up in the top right. We got Mr. Ryan top left. Got Kegman Nate and Svets on the bottom. Matt's MIA. He is out of town this weekend. This is January 1st. 21 podcast number one.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel.
We got some things we're going to talk about. We did some stuff to DS's truck actually today. He was the first one to partake in my oil change deal I got going on here at the shop, and the newcomers down at the bottom, we're going to talk about their trucks and see what they're rolling with, and kind of go from there. So, Svets, why don't you lead us off? Just tell us what you're driving and yeah, your geographical location, I guess.
All right, sounds good. I'm calling from northeastern Ohio and right around the Youngstown, Canton Alliance area, and I'm driving a 2006 F-150 Super Crew FX4. It's got the 5.43 valve in it.
Hell yeah, hell yeah.
And I got, it's kind of funny because when I first got this truck, I went through Westgate Ford Truck Center in Youngstown to get it. And I had to go pick it up, and it was right where A-Rod and DS are up in Detroit, right where out of Centerline, Michigan.
Oh,
so
hell
it's,
yeah.
It was a cool ride. I got to see a lot of amazing Michigan sites going up there, so I really enjoyed that. And so far, the truck got close to 93,000 miles on it. It's my daily driver.
Oh, right on.
And I try to keep it as clean as can be, and it still looks new. And hopefully I can hang on to it for about another 4 or 5 years.
That's awesome.
What color is it? What color is it? So I can paint the picture.
Sure, it's black.
Oh, okay, okay.
All
okay.
black.
Okay. You got anything done to it? Got like bigger wheels, or got tinted windows or something, or got anything done?
You know what? Yeah. I got 35% tints. I got a tonneau cover from Xpang. It's got the bows on it, which, dude, you know what you should get? Get the one that's flat. You know, that's solid, but it's flat. The one with the bows, I'm telling you, every time you're hauling something for payload, you got to take them out, throw them in somewhere, and it's a real pain in the butt.
Word.
I look at oh man, what's like Truxedo? I think it's a decent one, and then they got this latest one where it's like you could slide it in and out. It's like kind of like mechanical, but it's up there in price. I kind of don't know what your price range is, but
word
for you, I would look into something like that. Streamline.
Yeah, I'm digging that.
Xtang's a local business.
Oh, are they?
They're based out of Ann Arbor, my hometown.
Yeah. Oh, no way! I didn't know that. That's cool. That's cool.
Oh, that's cool. Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. Word. What do you got, Nate? What do you roll?
So 2020 F350 STX with the 6.7 Powerstroke. First newer diesel for me.
Yeah. What are you using that for? Using it for daily driver? Using it for work?
Both. So it's like a daily driver slash truck, plow, vehicle. We haven't got enough snow to plow.
Gotcha. What are you looking for mileage on yours?
Oh, I'm pushing about 20,000 miles.
Okay, that's cool.
Oh wow,
definitely a little more than what DS and I got.
Yeah.
You know, today was actually quite a not a learning experience, but it was good information. We ran into something. DS had put up a video not too long ago about oil consumption with his F450, and you know, it really kind of sparked my concern, because, you know, now I have one of these, and what it's going to mean for me as an owner and as now a technician repairing this and my truck, and what, you know, what that all, I'm on this side of the fence now. his oil was in fact low. And there was another guy, another subscriber of mine, who had changed his oil, and I immediately told him, I said, hey, go and check your oil. He sent me a picture, and sure as shit, his oil was in the exact same spot. And then I had to check mine, and mine was low. Now, I changed my oil one time already, and I did that when I was in PA when I saw Rich. Shout out to Limitless. Woo woo. And that was at like 48-ish 100 miles, and now I got like 7,700, and I was, no BS, a quart low. All three of our dipsticks were in the exact same spot. So now we're wondering, since I know I put 13 quarts in there 100%. I brought a whole case and 1 quart. Now, DS's has never had an oil change until today. So he has been rocking the factory oil. And you know what, DS, why don't you tell exactly what you did? You went to go check your oil, and what did you find?
Well, for me, it's like when you get a new truck or a new car, you kind of expect that it's not going to have any problems with the oil. But I kind of learned over the years that even though for a new vehicle, until you've established that it's not burning oil, you got to kind of check it. You know, you got to check it regularly. So I got busy. I didn't check it for a while. You know, I checked it when it was new. And I remember it being full, but I plowed a couple times and I've been idling a lot, and just got done plowing for like 12 hours. So I went ahead and checked it again, and it wasn't anything on the stick. Like it was like
Like,
barely.
what do you mean not on the stick? I want you to be specific.
So
what
like,
do you mean?
so like you wipe the stick off, and then you put it back, and you pull it out. There's nothing there. But if you look at the bottom of it, like the bottom round, you can barely get it to stay in your finger.
Wow.
It barely touched anything.
So
it's like
that low.
It was
He's not
that
making
low.
this up. He's not making this up.
Yeah, it was that low. So I started it up. I
Crazy.
warmed it up and then checked it. I warmed it up and let it sit there. Then checked it again. It was that low.
And I think we should
Full
probably
pot.
tell everybody the variables that we're working with. What was the sequence that we did? We were at work, and then you did, prior to you coming to me, you ran it for how long? And then you let it sit for how long? Today, or then the few days ago when you were checking it and you had to add 1.4 quarts. What was you let it run for, what was it, 10 minutes? Got it up to operating temperature, and you let it sit for 15 minutes?
When I added the 1.4 quarts, I drove it for about 20 minutes at least, 20, 30 minutes. Made my runs, kept checking it throughout the day. And when I got home, I parked it in the driveway, backed it up so it was level, in the level part of the driveway. And I put the oil in after it settled for like 15 minutes. Then I checked it again. It was like, okay, now it's time to start adding oil. I put in like 1.4, 1.5, whatever quarts, and brought it up to because when you look at a dipstick, there's two lines. There's a bottom line and there's a top line. And I brought it right up to the bottom line. So there's a crosshatch pattern on the stick, and then there's a bottom notch, and I brought it right up to the bottom notch. And when we brought it into you today, it was still right at the bottom notch where I added. And in between there, I had a full 9-10 hour plowing day of plowing. I had a ton of idling, so I've been working the truck more, and it hasn't burned any more oil. So
he comes to work today. We do his first maintenance. We made a video. It's going to be coming up probably right around the time that this podcast is out. Greased all his stuff, did the water separator, did the air pressure, swapped the front tires, added 13 quarts of full synthetic, bloop, 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 13 times.
Exactly 13 quarts.
Ran the engine for a few minutes and shut it off. Save the air pressures for then. Let the truck sit, go around, get the air hose, get your gloves on, go around. You're taking 10, 15 minutes to do all 6 tires, get down, doing all this. So, doing 2 things at once. Time goes by, we go and check the oil, and it is in the middle of the stick. We're like, are you
Wow.
are you serious?
We went and looked at it. We went and looked for an extra quart. We counted the quarts to confirm that we actually
In the
put
trash.
13. Yeah, we're like, there's 13 quarts here.
What? Now, I don't know about you, but I don't have a hard time counting. I know it's not lucky number 13, but we put 13 quarts in it, and it did not fill it up. So we added one more. I didn't have any more full synthetic that was bought and paid for. So I had to get some 1030 that we had, and I added exactly 1 quart, and it brought it up to the top of the hash marks, to the top of the stick where I would feel it would be full. So that leaves me up for interpretation of really what the oil level is for these trucks. Now, we all know that the 650, 750s, they take 15 quarts. And I've heard on some Facebook posts that people have been saying that, we're running 15 quarts from the old requirement. And I'm like, well, that's not what it takes. It takes 13. But now mine was low, his was low, and my other boys was low. I have yet to check with my other homie in Ohio, Diesel Daddy, with his 20 Tremor, and see if his is low. And I think he's running full synthetic. So, is it something that we're doing? Are we not checking the oil the same? Why do I have 3 trucks, a brand new truck for DS's sake? Why is his low? He doesn't have excessive smoke coming out the tailpipe. I think he can concur with me. You're not going through like mad regens, right?
I don't know. It doesn't seem like it.
Well, what's going on? What's different?
Mine was low.
Well, if you look at it, it is in the middle of the crosshatch, so maybe it's all right.
You said yours was low?
Yeah, mine was in the middle of the crosshatch as well, with about 4,500 miles on the last oil change. Yep.
But for all we know, that could be perfectly normal for 13 quarts. So for 20.
I don't know if this will make any sense because I heard of this before. If I could quickly chime in on this.
Oh, most stuff.
So on the 5-liter Coyotes and the F-150s, I think it was either this year or last year, they had the same problem with this. Like you'd check the oil and there'd be hardly anything in it.
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I think you know exactly what I'm about to say. The Dipstick.
Yeah, are you saying is it related to the start stop on the 5.0?
I think so, or it's either that or it's just that what they did was they'll give you a new one, and then with this new one, the oil was fine. It was crazy. So maybe
they must have changed something.
Well, we do know that they changed this intake. They went to this all aluminum intake on the Powerstroke.
That could be a good thing too, right there.
So,
that's a good point.
What if does the dipstick bolt to the
upper intake, but more to hold the bracket?
Yeah, it doesn't go through the intake or anything. Goes through the rear cover and then down into the upper oil pan and then.
But I wonder if they're off on their dipstick a little bit. If it's not when they came out.
What would be a good comparison is to get a 1967 dipstick and a 20 dipstick and see if there's any difference with one, the length, and two, when you get to the end of the stick, is the indicator itself. Yeah, is it the same? Are the cross hatches like a millimeter higher on or lower, vice versa, comparing to the other? I'm gonna do that. That's a really good. I'm gonna write that down. To do, maybe take a little video to see if in fact there is something different between the two.
Well, I wonder if there's any numbers on the dipstick as far as part numbers.
Oh, I'm sure there is.
So what if there's a different part number for 20 compared
We
to
could just,
19.
oh, you know what? I mean, we got, as we're talking, I got all that stuff pulled up. I can actually go to the catalog here and see if that's actually what's going on, because it's a possibility. I can't say that that is what is exactly going on. But I know there's something different and weird for the fact for DS that you have low oil. There's no.
But I definitely probably burned like a quart anyway on top of this issue. But then that it doesn't seem like it's still burning oil. It could have been just a weird break-in or something that it does as a new engine.
That could exactly.
True.
You know, another thing too I wanted to bring up. It's funny because it's on the 20s and we're going through all this COVID stuff, and this supplier, it could be a supplier issue from a recall to a renumber part number to a new dipstick, or if they caught a problem with it and it didn't get out in the supplier base in order to get it to you guys, they're having this problem, you know what I mean? So it could be a supply chain management problem through one of Ford's suppliers.
Right.
Okay,
When
Everybody,
something's just
and,
off
you know,
a little bit from a supplier.
Do you think though that Ford wants the oil level to be in the middle of the hatch marks, or no?
You know, we're gonna have to look and see if it states in the owner's manual that I don't know. I don't look. I know it takes 13. I don't check the oil.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
You just assume that what you say is correct.
Right. I mean, shame on me for not.
Well, do you trust that gun? Like if that gun spits out 13 quarts, you know that gun spits out 13 quarts.
Oh, most definitely.
Yeah.
And I was using,
you know what?
quarts. Like I was pouring quarts when I did mine, and I did 13.
Okay, so here's a 19. What does a 19 say? 6750. Wow, it is a different part number.
Wow. So a 19's got a different part number from a 20.
So I'm gonna show you.
Yeah.
I'll show you right now. So I'm gonna actually let me drag this down, get this by itself, and get rid of that. And let's see if I can go back to my Zoom, and I'm gonna live share this so you guys can check this out. So
one thing that's interesting is this idea of a 15 quart solution that is used on the heavier duty trucks. What's different on those trucks? Do they have a bigger sump? I would imagine they might have a bigger sump.
So if you guys see here, here's the oil dipstick tube indicator.
Right.
Here is the part number, Henry Charlie 3Z 6750 boy. Okay, so if we go out of here and go back to a 20, we'll just, pick my truck, and we're gonna go and type the oil dipstick tube number or indicator, 6750. Where are you at?
This is the tube.
This is the indicator.
So
LC3Z 6750A. Now, I can't imagine that it's got to be that much different. So what's the difference?
Wait a second. Are you looking at a tube or the tube and a stick together?
No, I'm looking at just the indicator.
Just the stick.
Just the stick.
So what if the stick's different but the tube isn't? Like it has the same tube and then you put in a different stick in and it's just reading in a different spot.
Right. So what I'm getting at, like what's different about them? Are we checking the oil correctly? Is there something different for 2020s that we're not doing? I don't know. Look, we're talking about it. We're trying to problem solve. We're trying to figure it out. Let's go back and see, can we find something for the owner's manual that's going to state when we should actually be checking it? And I know, it's supposed to get it up to operating temperature, but is there something different for 20 that we're not aware of?
When you think about it getting up to operating temperature, how much expansion do you think there's going to be at that oil? Because I know if you got like 100 gallons of oil, your temperature is a big factor. Like you could be filled to the rim and then like gain 10 degrees of heat, and that oil is going to be overflowing. But on a scale of just having 13 quarts, I'm not sure if it expands that much
Like that.
Right.
to where the volume is that much higher.
Yeah, Nate was just talking about that.
Yeah, so like Sean, you might know this with lawnmowers like that have hydraulic fluid for the transmission.
Yeah.
That expands a lot when it heats up in the overflow tank, I've noticed. So I was wondering if, say, like 5W40 does the same or 10W30.
Right. It seems like that hydraulic oil in a mower really expands because, like, if it's cold, it will look like it's empty. Like right now, if I look over at my mower, they're empty, and then
they look low. You know,
they look low, and as soon as they warm up, they go to the right level. So
exactly. So, and I think that type of hydraulic fluid might be like I think it's like a 5W. I could be wrong, but 5W30-ish, give or take. It changes based on the
based on the hydro. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's
oil
30 weight. I don't know. What is it?
Diesel 343.
It can be as thick as like 5W50. It depends.
I think it's pretty thick stuff.
Yep. But maybe that's why they say 13 quarts. They want it in the middle.
Contacts is drying out.
You know, maybe if you're full in the winter, in the summer you'd be too full.
Maybe, but when I've run the motor and got it hot, I haven't noticed that much of a
difference.
Of a increase. Like it's just moving up. I haven't noticed, but maybe.
Okay.
Well, what's the risk of overfilling? Is it just cavitation? Is that the only risk?
There's that, and it's like you don't want it to be filled all the way up to the seals and everything.
Okay, here I found it right here, guys. Here it is.
Okay.
Let me go ahead and pull this down, and let me go back to the share screen because this is good shit. Where are we at? Boom. All right, you guys can check this out. You can slow it down at your leisure. I got to move this over because I cannot see.
Operating temperatures.
Yes. To check the engine oil level consistently and accurately for the 6.7 diesel, and I am looking at the 2020 F250 I got pulled up here. Make sure the parking brake is on. Make sure the transmission is in park or neutral. For the sake of argument, we're all going to be in park. Run the engine until it reaches normal operating temperature. If you guys want to go take a quick spin around the block, go do what you got to do. Want to grab a bag of chips, got to go put some fuel in it, go drive, come back, and you're going to be at operating temperature. Make sure that your vehicle is on level ground. You just heard DS said he pulled it in the backyard on the level part of the driveway. Switch the engine off and wait 15 minutes for the oil to drain into the oil pan. Checking the engine oil level too soon after you switch the engine off may result in an inaccurate reading. We all can concur before we even looked at this, we already were talking that this is what we already did. And we hadn't even consulted the owner's manual yet. So we're right on par for what it's wanting us to do. Next thing, open the hood. See opening the hood. We all know how to do that. Remove the dipstick and wipe it with a clean, lint-free cloth. We all know how to do that. Replace the dipstick and remove it again to check the oil level. And it tells us a reference to see page 341. Make sure that the oil level is between the maximum and minimum marks. If the oil level is at the minimum mark, add oil immediately, and then instructs us to see the capacities and specifications. Number 9, if the oil level is correct, replace the dipstick and make sure it is fully seated. Do not remove the engine oil dipstick when the engine is running. If the oil level is between the maximum and the minimum marks, the oil level is acceptable and do not add oil. Now, what is that? The last note, hold on, the last note, the oil consumption of new engines reaches its normal level after approximately 3,000 miles. I'm at 7,700. Nate's at 20,000. What do you guys think about that?
Well, it kind of explains why I burned a little bit of oil before 3,000 miles. And I think their procedure for making sure the oil is right between there is a little different from anything else that I've ever seen in the past.
Now,
Right,
here's one thing. It's just one little paragraph. Excuse me. It's titled Engine Lubrication for Severe Operation. The following conditions define severe operation for which engine operation with SAE 5W40 oil, which meets Ford specification, is recommended. Oil and oil filter change intervals will be determined by the intelligent oil life monitor, as noted previously. That right there, I do not agree with. I do not think anybody who is operating a 6.7, I don't care if you're running AMSOIL, I don't care if you're running Motorcraft full synthetic, I don't care. I do not care what oil you're running. You are not waiting until that intelligent oil life monitor tells you to change the oil. That intelligent oil life monitor is going to have a programmed algorithm, I would think, to take into effect of how the vehicle is being operated and engine hours. And what I see come in is not the result of the engine being maintained like it should by going by the engine intelligent oil life monitor. I think that needs to be changed. And I know myself, I know DS, I know Nate, we are all following a 5,000 mile oil change interval, and those freaking poor tow trucks that go 10,000 miles on an oil change and are waiting for this intelligent oil life monitor to come on. It's like, oh,
You know what? I saw somewhere. I don't know where I saw it. I don't know if you can find it in the manual, but what is the mileage? Because I saw somewhere it said 10,000 miles for the oil change, but I don't know if that was official Ford stuff. Because I know the severe duty is going to be 5,000 miles, but for normal,
sick.
Is it 10,000 or 5,000?
I think it's 10,000 in the oil life monitor. Yeah.
So it's 10,000 plus the oil life monitor?
No way, man.
So for me, my experience is I honestly, contrary to A-Rod's point, is I use the oil life monitor. But my oil life monitor has me changing it way before 5,000.
But I think it takes into account, like A-Rod said, idling hours. You know, just it's an algorithm of some sort.
Yeah.
Is it right though? Maybe not for cab chassis. Is it right for pickups? Is it not the correct algorithm for cab chassis?
You gotta ask the question. Are they cheating the system? Those cab and chassis trucks, are they resetting it? What are they doing? Because that should go off well before 5,000 miles if you're working your truck.
I agree.
Mine's not going to reach 5,000. You just saw it. I was at 3,000. I was at 3,400 miles, and I'm like, my oil's done. According to the oil life monitor, the oil's done. So, you know, I don't know what
chassis working harder than your truck, you know, it has a service body all the time.
They should be able to go 10,000 miles.
Is the algorithm for the pickup and the cab chassis the same? And they shouldn't be? Maybe there should be a reprogram available for cab chassis trucks so that it can take into effect. If people want to go by the intelligent oil life monitor, so be it.
You know what I think it is?
But it's
I
got to
think-
be calculated correct.
I think it's not the oil life monitor. I think it's their severe duty. Because if you look at the manual for severe duty, it's so hard to be in a 10W30 oil. According to Ford, it's so hard to be in a 10W30 oil. You have to just be driving like an old dude, like an old grandpa. Like you can't use your truck and run 10W30 and do anything. Like
True.
it wants you to drive on a perfect sunny day without ever getting stuck in traffic, without ever being dusty. But I think a lot of the cab and chassis trucks just run cheap oil, cheap basic maintenance, whatever is basic, 10W30, whatever miles. And it's like, according to the manual, they want that 5W40 for any kind of work.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe
Good point.
that's got something to do with it. You know, I don't know what that 10W30
That's a good point.
stuff. I don't know. What, it's a weird oil. Like when I look at the bottle, it's like I wonder how much of this, because it doesn't even say it's a synthetic blend. I don't know what's going on inside of this bottle. It just says 10W30.
I don't know what's going on inside of that bottle. That's funny.
Why don't they put like synthetic blend? I know their synthetic blend for their like Ecoboost is pretty good oil. But I mean that stuff, it says when you look at the spec sheet, it's good oil on the spec sheet. It's got like a good pour point and a good flash point and all that stuff.
It's the only, I mean, it's the oil I would recommend, and it's the oil that I'm running right now. I just saw a post on Facebook, and we were making the video today. We were talking about it. I just saw somebody had a jug, just like DS just showed, of Schaefer's. I have never.
I've never seen it.
I've never seen it. I don't know where to buy it. I don't know anybody.
Yeah, I don't know where to get it either.
I know a lot of guys that swear by it, but they have fleets, like move trucks, and they say it's the best, but I've never used it.
Ryan, what are you running in your in your lawn equipment?
Mobile One.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
100%.
Okay.
Yeah,
100%.
never. Yeah, all the time. I mean, I'll get, I don't know, 2,500 hours out of an engine at least.
That's it.
Or more.
That's pretty good. I mean, it's good.
Yeah, and that's going off. I mean, I know guys who get, 2,000 hours and they're popping their motors, but they also don't change the oil like they should.
Wow.
Or they're not using. I think that synthetic and that stuff really
100%
really does the trick.
Dude. My old walk behind with Mobile One in it and Soul Life, you take the valve cover off of it, it's like brand new inside. And Mobile One is good. It's good oil, but it's not the best. It's just decent. It's just a decent oil.
We should tell everybody who's watching or listening. I got to get this. It's in the process of getting on an RSS feed to get you guys on Google Podcast and Spotify and Apple, all that fun stuff. But people who are listening, let us know in the comment section, what kind of oil are you running? Are you running Motorcraft? Are you running Rotella? Matt's likes to bicker with DS about the Rotella. Valvoline. Are you running Schaefer's? What are you running out there? Let us know. I mean, we got Ryan's running Mobile One. Nate, are you running Motorcraft?
I did once when you changed it, but I just looked for the Ford oil spec that they specify. So it's like a Ford. It says me Ford oil spec WSS, and then a bunch of other letters and numbers. I don't remember, but
okay.
I looked at that, but it's funny. People are brand loyal when it comes to oil. They are loyal to their oil.
You're right.
Oh,
Dude, I was so Mobile One until Project Farms did that video with the Pennzoil and the AMSOIL. I was straight Mobile One only. Mobile One Extended Performance or Mobile One, whatever. I didn't use nothing else. But
that Mobile One 1 year protection. You ever see that?
Yeah, I've never. You know what? I do the 1 year. I don't do the miles. Like out because of my work, my 19250, it'll get like 5,000 miles a year. So I'll change it once a
Yeah.
year, but I don't.
There's one that says unlimited miles annual.
There's no way.
You could. I mean,
wow.
you
No
could
way.
probably do it with like not unlimited, but you could probably do like that Amsoil, whatever they got 25,000 miles. But I don't know about doing that with a diesel because you're getting all that fuel in the oil. So
I think that's
it's
the
getting diluted.
Amsoil Signature Series.
Yeah,
Good is it oil? I've never used it.
I was blown away by Project Farms when he did those wear tests, and you could actually see that metal to metal contact wore out less with Amsoil, and then the heat protection was better, and then the cold pouring was better even after cooked.
He
I
would
was
be
impressed.
cool to get on the podcast
saw
just
that.
for the sake of that whole topic.
That would be cool, but when I don't know, that'd be a tough one to pull off.
Hey, we're just 5 real dudes, just keeping it truthful, keeping it clean.
I'm keeping it real.
Yeah, just keeping it real. This is what it's about. We're talking about real life experiences with our Ford trucks, whether it's a diesel or gas. And what really boils down to is us being able as owners and sometimes operators even is taking care of those things, and that is pretty much what we take on that responsibility when we buy these things. And I know some people don't give two shits, but for me, spending the money I did for my truck and vice versa for DS and the other guys, that's a lot of money. Now, when you got fleet companies who are buying 50 of these trucks and they're just buying XLs and putting them into the work fleet, and people are driving them and not giving two shits, well, that's what that truck's life's destined for, and it's just how it's going to be. But for the people who are actually paying it as their daily driver, they're in and out of it with their kids, they're using it to make money. This is part of your life. It's an investment. It's something for your business. It's only beneficial to yourself to keep it in tip-top shape. Maybe you won't want to get rid of it one day. You want to get the best money you want to get for it. I mean, do you want some beat up Alumaduty that DS is going to have after he clunks out a couple of dually hips on some poles and takes out a couple of mirrors? No, he's going to drive his truck and make sure he's, operating it, carefully. He's getting the job done. He's efficient, but he's not reckless. And the same thing with Nate, myself, and Ryan. He's got, a couple of trucks in his fleet. So I think people get away from taking care of their vehicles just with the stuff that I see coming. And it's like you see, you're just like, what are these people doing? I mean, I carry my daughter in the car. I mean, DS has got another kid on top of mine, so he's got 2, and his truck don't look like the trucks I see coming. It's like, man.
People just
say there.
People just they're so used to getting in and firing it up and it turning on and going all the time.
Yeah.
Well, there's going to be a day where it's not going to do that. What are you going to do? What if you're stuck on the side of the road with your family? What are you going to do?
People get so busy.
Yeah, that's true. You got to tell me.
True. Exactly. Yeah, and you just got to keep it up, maintain as best you can, and I mean with the money you have, but it's a caveat. It really is. It's just you're damned if you do or you're damned if you don't. And
but it's hard to get service too. Like you're busy.
COVID too.
Yeah. Like to get an oil change nowadays, you could end up sitting in a quick lane for how long? Like you could be sitting there for an hour. You could be sitting there for 4 hours, 4 or 5 hours getting an oil change. If it's busy, it's tough. Sometimes I'll change my own oil. If it wasn't for A-Rod, I would just change my own oil because it's gonna take me. By the time I wait, I might as well have done it myself, even though it costs the same amount of money. Might as well have done it myself.
But when
I
you
think-
see the video we made today, it was A1 service. This is what you would
So
expect.
informative.
Yeah, very, very, very. This is what you should expect. Now, it is not going to happen. It's right off the bat. But I would hope this is what you would expect when you bring your truck to a Ford dealer. This is a service that you think in your head, gee, what are they doing in my truck? Are they out hot rodding around? Are they in there? Are they smoking in it? Are they smearing all the windows? No, this is what's
Dude,
happening.
I definitely learned something.
I can't wait for the video to come out because it
Dude,
was.
I definitely learned something when you talked about spraying off of the filter, and I've seen you do it before, but when you talk about it, it made me realize, like, I thought when I did my 6.2 oil change, which I haven't been doing a lot of oil changes, I finally got around to doing it. I put AMS oil in it and all that. I honestly thought my filter was leaking. And when you explained why you clean it that way, I actually realized that my filter was not leaking. When you change your oil, it builds up oil on the filter that you install upside down. It builds up that oil in the like top ring, and then days later, whatever, it starts to drip down the side. And I think if I had a real oil leak on that part of the truck, it would probably shoot out. I mean, that's a lot of pressure. So to think that I'm just seeping oil, I'm thinking, oh, I'm seeping oil. I gotta tighten it up. I'm like, I didn't know you could just, because normal, like on my Ecoboost, it spins in the other way, like it spins on a whatever angle, and it hangs. So you never would. I haven't changed this style of filter in so long, like since I had a 6-liter GM, and it didn't. The 6-liter GM didn't do that. I don't remember ever seeing oil dripping down the oil filter on the 6-liter GM engine.
I see so many trucks come in, and the FL 2051 is just.
And the
black.
oil is like just running down from when it got changed.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I never even thought of it like that.
Yeah.
So they probably didn't clean the mating surface that good either.
No, if you want, I mean, so you got a waiting customer. Okay, well, got to figure something out. If you're changing it yourself, go drain your oil, go make dinner, go clean up, and then come back. So a couple hours later, ain't nothing gonna be dripping.
Right.
Nothing. Go get your rag, get you wipe, spin your new filter on. You're not gonna have to clean it like I was showing DS.
That's probably why I never saw it in my 6-liter.
Yeah.
Because I used to like let that thing sit there and drain for 35 minutes.
Yep.
Yeah, some people are meticulous. They want to get all that old oil out.
Yeah. One thing also I noticed that after you change my oil, you get inside the truck, you drive home. The way you change the oil, you don't smell oil in the cab of the truck.
No, heck no.
For me, when I changed my old lady's oil the other day, get in the car, like, yeah, you're gonna smell oil for a minute. She's got a 2.7. Yeah, you're gonna smell oil for a couple of days because she's got that filter on top.
Yeah.
I don't even think I have any brake clean right now. And a little oil got in the engine bay by that filter.
Exhaust, maybe.
Yeah.
Have
And
you guys?
the way A-Rod does his oil change, you don't smell nothing. It's like nothing ever happened.
Nada.
Have you guys read the label on a bottle of brake clean? The health hazard part.
Oh yeah, it's not good.
It says
What
like
is-
everything.
Does it?
Yeah, like it's
So
supposed to be so bad for you.
we're working. This one's really, really good. Works well. I like it. It's non-chlorinated. When I'm not at work, this is the stuff I use at home. But yeah, what are the? There's a couple of different languages on here.
Yeah, I've tried the non-chlorinated and the other one, and they seem to work the same. Which one do you want to get? They seem to do the same thing.
Where are the hazards? Extremely flammable. Yeah, we know that, but doesn't it say like it like will make your eyes fall out or something?
Known to the state of California to cause cancer.
Yeah, that and
P65 label.
yeah. If you hold the can too long, your like toes will fall off. Wash immediately. Yeah, ridiculous.
Like,
What kind of
don't
brake
get
clean do you guys use? It's really potent and stinky,
You know what
but it
I
works
got?
really
I'm
well.
looking over here.
Works really well.
I just got some new one from Gunk. Brake parts cleaner, chlorinated, of course.
Okay.
It's it works pretty good. I used
I
to get
wish
I think it was CPC brand.
Okay.
I think that's.
I had that brake
Oh,
clean sprayer.
Oh yeah. That Sure Shot's where it's at, man. I love that Sure Shot.
is it the green one that you use?
Oh yeah. We get it in.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we get it in bulk and we charge it up, with shop air, and it just stays
Is that stuff in bulk by the gallon or by like the 55 gallon?
by the drum. Yeah, big drum.
Brake fluid by the drum.
Brake
Jeez.
cleaner by the drum. Yeah.
Or I'm sorry, brake cleaner.
Yeah.
What if the drum broke open, like, and spilled right on the shop floor? Oh my
Yeah,
Have
that
a
would
clean shop
suck.
floor.
That would suck.
wouldn't that be wild?
That'd be a lot of
Everybody-
wasted money.
Dude, everybody would just lay on the ground. Like, why is everyone just fainting from all the fumes? They just fuck.
Oh man.
Oh, the
I
floor's so
love-
clean.
It would just
I
be a fog
clean
in
brake.
the shop. And then the place would probably just blow up. Jeez.
Yeah, that would not be good. That'd be like that one dealership out by kind of out by you. It was like a Chevy dealer, and something got spilled in the shop, and the janitor went over it with the floor scrubber, and like the floor scrubber
Yep.
ignited everything and burned that whole dealership down.
Dude,
Customers'
Oh,
cars
wow.
and everything in there.
I would be nervous to have a
Gee.
55-gallon drum of brake fluid, dude. That sounds so scary, dude.
Cleaner.
Cleaner.
Brake cleaner, dude. That sounds scary, man. Or just imagine like a 55-gallon drum of brake fluid breaks open.
Oh man, you're gonna be
Just-
skating.
There'd be
Just-
all the paint would be gone off the
It
floor.
just strips all that
man.
epoxy.
God, you know what?
my
Okay, this is a good topic to talk about. Something different. It's in the Powerstroke, and we have to use it in pretty much all of our cars, whether it's gas or diesel, car or truck. If you could get any fluid on you, we have diesel fuel, gasoline, brake fluid, coolant, power steering, trans, what else? AC refrigerant, rear axle dope. What else?
What about like anti-seize? Are we gonna include that in there?
Anti-seize.
Because that sucks to
No.
get on you.
Grease that we just did DS thing. DS is lube twisting, and then friction mod. Out of those 10, let us know in the comment section, which would you not want on you? For the sake of God, I hate, out of all things, I cannot stand when diesel fuel gets on me. I'm wearing it all day. And if it lands here, the spot's gonna be like this big because it's gonna wick all over my shoulder. And then I'll be like this, wiping the sweat. Oh, now it's on my face and it's in my beard. I can't stand getting diesel fuel on me. I guess I picked the wrong profession, but I mean,
Diesel cologne.
that's my top one. Even today, I was talking to DS. Did water separator on his. I don't know where I got it, but we're just bullshitting after we got done working on his truck, and I'm on my phone. I'm like, what? It's on me. I smell it. It's in my hair. I don't know what I did. It was on my somewhere.
I think brake fluid is kind of gross. It's probably the grossest one. You probably don't have to deal with a lot of brake fluid, but that's probably worse than diesel. Because
brake fluid and then working with rubber gloves. That
brake
frickin'
fluid
sucks.
Yeah, it like eats stuff up. Like it eats up paint, and then it's a weird chemical. Like, I wouldn't want that on me.
Coolant. I think coolant would be the least that I would care about. If I got coolant on me,
It depends on how
Whatever.
much coolant. How much coolant?
Mostly water.
A little
Oh.
drip, okay. A whole cup of it? No, maybe
well,
not.
not like on my shirt. Like, I mean, say it like ran down my arm or something on my sleeve. I'm taking a hose off or something. I mean, that's no big deal. But like getting oil on you or rear axle fluid. Oh man, then it's in your sinuses. You're gonna be smelling that shit all day, all night. Oh my
Tell me
gosh.
about it. Ugh. Yeah, that's pretty disgusting.
Dude, one time I was working at a trucking company. I used to change semi-truck tires, and I used to run a machine there on the site on the property, and they were so cheap that they didn't want to heat the shop with anything but used motor oil. So they
Oh
would
yeah.
collect everybody's motor oil from around like the area.
Oh yeah.
They would just get 55-gallon drums of this old oil, but the problem is they don't know what's in that oil.
Yeah,
They
right.
don't know if it's brake fluid or whatever.
Nasty.
So they told my job during the winter was to constantly fill up this oil, and I had this big Ingersoll Rand boom lift. I would go into the other yard across the street and pick up oil, pallets of oil, but the pallets were all broken, so it'd be oil like hanging. The oil pallets would hang, and then I would have to like get a hook and hook it to the 55-gallon drum and go out in the freezing cold and just watch this used goop just drip slowly into another container. And then
Oh man.
one time it snowed like, I don't know, 6 inches. And there was a pallet that I had to get, and I didn't want to shovel. So I tried to take the forks and angle them like this, like 2 forks, and angle them under the snow and dive under the snow and get the drums of oil. But the snow lifted up the forks, and they didn't quite go under the pallet. They went right through the bottom of the oil.
Oh.
It went right through
Crazy.
both of the drums and stabbed them.
No.
Stabbed these 55-gallon drums, and the machine had so much power that you didn't feel it at all. I'm just thinking I'm hooking up. I get out and look, and all this
Oil
100,
everywhere.
probably like 100, or I can't remember if it was 100 or 200 gallons of like used goop comes
How the
out
hell did
onto
they
the
clean
ground.
that up?
I was so scared that I was shaking, and I had to tell my boss.
You about to pass out.
I wasn't gonna pass out, but I was shaking. I was like, "Oh no! I just spilled all this oil on the ground. It's gonna be a huge environmental hazard. At least 100 gallons, maybe 2.
They're about to call the EPA.
I was
You had
so
an Exxon Valdez situation on your hands.
this oil just starts spreading, dude. It just starts spreading. And I went to the boss and was like, I got something to tell you. I spilled 100 gallons of oil across the street. He just looked at me and was just like, don't worry about it. He was like, that land is already contaminated. And I was like, oh my God, thank you. Like, because it was right next to a junkyard. Like his yard was next to some junkyard. I think it was called like Fritz or something. Over in West Chicago and Detroit, on the west side of Detroit. And
West side.
All that oil just out, dude. For like a year, there was like little oil droplets every time it rained. It just little oil droplets floating around. Oh man, what a mess.
Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. I wonder where Mr. Matt is. I tried calling him, text him. He just said he's out of town. I wonder where he went. I wonder if he went down to Tijuana.
I'm in the up north parts of Michigan.
Word. What are you doing up there?
Doing some snowmobiling.
Oh yeah, duh. Hence the snowmobile trailer, right?
You're on vacation in a snowmobile trailer?
Well, this is like a place I have privacy from that.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's not my trailer, but it's
your buddies.
Pretty nice. Yeah.
How did you get 20,000 miles on your truck so fast?
So this is a funny story. I got the truck. I ordered the truck in November of 2019. Didn't get the truck till March of 2020. It was built incorrectly, so they put the wrong instrument cluster in. Because of COVID, it was stuck at the dealership for 2 months.
Ugh, that's all right.
So this was an issue with the factory, and it got out of the factory.
Yeah, so they put the the instrument cluster with the 2-inch blue ice, little tiny.
Oh no!
Yeah,
I had that, and I was supposed to have the little bit bigger screen.
Wow.
Yeah,
But
that's a bummer.
That's a COVID truck.
yeah, it's a COVID truck, and the dealership closed without telling me or telling anyone.
It closed down?
It closed down, yeah, like
For COVID.
I just called and it's like,
Okay.
I call and it's like we're closed until further notice. So but yeah, I mean I do a lot of highway driving. I go up north pretty frequently. So it's mostly highway miles, yeah.
Oh, okay, going up north and everything.
Yeah, I got to commute to work about 30 minutes. That too. So
What kind of MPG are you getting?
getting about like 19 and a half.
Damn, that's pretty good. What?
Yeah.
Okay, so when you actually, so you do a lot of highway driving. When you actually get around to changing your oil, do you go off the 5,000 miles or do you go off the oil life indicator?
Oh, so I'm using the same oil you are, 5W40 synthetic. And I did do about 5,000 mile intervals, but now since I tow a little bit, I haul, lightly. I'm going to do 7,500. So that way,
when you've done the 5,000, what was the oil life monitor? How did it look?
I don't remember. I think it was like right now I'm at 50%.
How many miles?
I think about 4,700 ish. Yeah.
So like if you go off the oil life monitor, you might get close to 10,000 miles.
Mm-hmm.
To me, it seemed like it would be 10,000. Yeah.
That's crazy, man.
But you have to think of it like this, though. Those miles aren't really an indication. That's just distance traveled. It doesn't really, like for me, I got 200 hours on
Yours
top of.
Yours is a heavy truck too.
Yeah, I like for example, I think I left out of Aaron's shop towing, or not towing, but hauling at least 3,500 pounds. So that my miles are going to be weighed differently. I've already lost, like we just reset the oil monitor and I'm already at 99% and we just did it today.
Yeah, and I think that's why Ford has all those different service intervals based on your conditions.
I wonder like what your oil condition would look like at 5,000 miles compared to mine. I got 3,000 miles. My oil is used up, 3,400 miles. I'm at 20% on an oil life.
Someone should do the Blackstone oil analysis. That'd be interesting to compare.
We took a sample. Yeah, we took a sample and we now if you can imagine, if you want to run off miles, if I said, well, I want to run off miles and I try to run off 10,000 miles just because you can run off, like some people can run off of 10,000 miles because they drive a lot of miles. My engine will probably be toast by the time I reach 10,000 miles if I tried that. You know,
there's some fleets that run 20,000 mile oil change intervals.
Right. But they're over the road.
But they're testing the oil.
Yeah, they're testing an oil.
You know what I'm saying? So they're like, we need to save money, so we're not changing until the oil analysis shows we need to.
You know, it's funny. I was watching that AMSOIL guy that's on YouTube. His name is like Oil Protection or something. Some guy named.
Yeah. Yep.
And he was doing that to a truck, but it blew a turbo. He was going like, I think the guy had like 18,000 miles on his Powerstroke. Was it a Cummins? It was one of the two. And everything was all right with the oil, but he ended up with fuel dilution. And then his turbo, I don't know if they blamed the fuel dilution on the turbo. And A-Rod, you can chime in on this because you would know. Which one would come first, the fuel dilution, then the oil, and then the turbo failure, or the turbo failure, and then according to them, he had fuel dilution in his oil because the turbo failed.
No.
It seems like if you have fuel dilution in your oil because you're going 18,000 miles, everything else was great, but he got the
And the
fuel
turbo
in the
would fail.
oil. Then that would hurt the turbo, I would think.
Correct. Because
Not-
if you got something that's spinning, what's the thing spinning at? 150,000 RPM,
Probably.
200,000 RPM. That
You
needs
get
superior lubrication. And if you're
Yeah.
going to put something in it that's going to have,
Fuel.
yeah, I mean, that's going to scavenge all of the lubricating properties that is the film between these bearings and clearances in this turbocharger.
I don't see how a turbo failure could cause fuel dilution to be in the oil, though. I don't get how they figured that one. He's like, yeah, the turbo failed, so you have fuel in your oil. I don't get that.
I mean, fuel would have to leak down past the cylinder walls, wouldn't it, to get to the oil?
I would think, yeah.
Yeah.
Regens. Doing a lot of regens. I don't know. Or, you know what? No, he had 18,000 miles. See, like, with the extended oil change from AMSOIL, it has everything you need. It has the TBN numbers and everything, but for a diesel, if your fuel is getting into the oil, which is a natural over the course of 18,000 miles, you're going to get the fuel in the oil. So there's no filter that's going to filter that out. There's nothing really you can do to get that out except change the oil. So I don't know. And when you look at the AMSOIL extended oil change, it says you can't do it for deleted trucks or for emissions trucks. They say really you can't do an extended oil interval for an emissions truck. You got to run off the manufacturer's recommendations. So,
You know, I heard a lot of these dudes running AMSOIL for their diesels. Some of them are complaining that it's really not like the best quality for it, and for what you're saying, like for clean idle and all the emissions and all that stuff, a lot of people are having problems with it. I know there's a couple YouTube videos about that too. There's just a lot of people that are really unhappy about it, and AMSOIL corporate's getting a lot of complaints about it too. So it's kind of like a
Wow.
problem, you know.
Wow. Ryan, didn't you say, wasn't it your uncle? Didn't you say your uncle had ordered a brand new Super Duty?
Yeah. Yep. He just ordered a.
What was the specs on that?
It's 350. You got the ultimate, or like, what is it? Is it the ultimate tow package you can get? 6.7 crew cab, short box.
Okay. What color is he going to get?
He got the gray, kind of like, I think the gray for the new ones is a little bit lighter than my 19, but yeah, he got the gray.
Is it still iconic, Sean?
that's a silver. And then the gray used to be magnetic.
Oh, gray.
And now it's
Right.
What do they call gray now? They got rid of magnetic and called it something else. And
Dark shadow gray.
Probably if you have a 19, it's probably called magnetic.
Yeah, mine's magnetic.
And I don't know what they called it in 20.
I'm excited for him. I wonder, is he going to have
It's lithium,
Shoot.
lithium and carbonized gray.
He probably had like the same wheels and tires yours has. Probably, huh?
They're a little
Like the
different.
Kevlars?
They're a little different. Yeah, he's got the Kevlars. I think his build date's actually coming up here in 2 weeks.
No kidding. Well, good for
Yeah.
him. That's
He
cool.
gives me like a daily update.
That's cool. That's cool.
It's gonna be a good truck. It's not gonna really be a COVID truck. The plants are up and running good. When mine was built, they weren't. They were like most of the normal workers were like. It was all new people, like straight off the street, new people.
Mm.
But now it's like everybody's kind of back. The regulars are back. So that'll be a good truck.
Does anyone have the Kevlar tires? Anyone? You guys? I have them.
What
I
are
have them too.
those? What is that?
Good-
Why they Kevlar? Like they're bulletproof?
No, they're like an all-terrain.
Mm,
But
okay.
I don't love them. I have them.
Aggressive tread?
No, not too aggressive. No.
Do you see a lot more road noise with those?
Mine are quiet, but they are a bumpy ride, I'd say.
How much air pressure do you run?
Ooh, I'm running factory 60, 80.
Take some air out, because if you're not towing, you can run the minimum all the way around. It will ride a lot better.
What does your 450 call for?
90, 80.
My 450 costs 90 in the front, 80 in the rear, but
90?
yeah,
Wow.
but
Dude.
with mine, you probably should run the recommended because it's got the commercial tires. So it rides, to me, it rides good with 90, 80.
Dude, 90 is absurd. Whew.
Yeah, but my tires though, you can't I don't think you can lower the pressure that much on mine because of the way the tires are designed. I think you can probably go down to like 80 and be I think I was at 80 and it rode okay, but it rides the same at 90. Whereas how the lighter duty tires, how they say 80 in the rear. Yeah, if you're running the max gross vehicle weight rating, yeah. But if you're not, then I wouldn't run that in the rear because the rear is light and it makes it ride bad. So, unless you're gonna tow the maximum towing and have the maximum tongue weight on your hitch, then I don't think it's a good idea to run 80 in the rear.
Somebody's going to come out with it because it's out for the 17 through 19 in Luma Duties. The spreadsheet for Forescan for TPMS, I want to change it so that I can put any pressure in the back. I want to run 65 all the way around, and I did change it, and my tire pressure light came on. So
wow, I run 65 in my 250, and it doesn't say anything.
Wow, yeah, it comes on. I said 65 in the front, 65 in the back, and next thing I know, tire pressure. I'm like, oh, come on, really? What?
Yeah, I got 65 all the way around. Now in the 250. If I'm plowing and salting with a 250, I'll run 80 in the front and 80 in the rear because I'm going to be at the gross weight rating for the front axle and I'll be gross weight rating all the way around. So it kind of works out good to have the full pressure all the way around when I'm carrying 1,000 pounds in the front.
Word.
Speaking of plows, yeah, I picked up a Western Whiteout this year.
Have you had a chance to use it yet?
Not yet, no.
That's a good plow.
Yeah, it's similar to yours.
I had a whiteout before.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you did.
And the best thing about it was that scoop mode. Putting it in scoop. That's because the tripping of the blade is so annoying. Like that vibration that if it's like a little bit warm out and then the blade's hitting a little bit wet concrete and it just slaps the board. There's such a heavy blade and it's got those heavy duty springs, it can vibrate. But if you scoop it, it doesn't do that because the poly edges kind of almost squeegee the ground. It's like it smooths out the roughness of plowing. So when I had the whiteout, I pretty much would scoop it all the time and just scrape out with it scooped, and it was because as soon as you go straight, it starts to do this on you.
Yeah, because it's so wide. It's like you can go 10 feet.
It's so heavy. It's wide and heavy.
I've only used Boss previously, so
I feel like the whiteout is pretty robust and pretty reliable. I had no issues out of it.
That's good to hear.
Do you have a Boss V plow or a straight blade?
Ran 3 Bosses. My first Boss was a 7'6" poly on a 1/2-ton truck, and then I had an EXT, which is like a whiteout.
Oh yeah, I heard those were problematic at first.
They are because they replaced my whole mold board for free under warranty.
Oh wow!
it was cracking. It was ripping the metal, like the metal was shearing.
Because it's stuck in scoop mode. I saw that and I didn't like that because it's always scooped and it expands. Well, with the whiteout, you can approach like a curb, and you could put a pile of snow right up to a curb without. If it's already scooped and you can't get flat up against anything, I don't think that's a good design.
It won't windrow real good because it's always scooped, you know.
Yeah, that too.
And then we still have a Boss V plow stainless, which it's okay.
I don't like how they have like those return springs for the V mode. It returns with the spring.
And versus hydraulics, yeah.
Yeah, I've heard when you back drag, it like scoops, it collapses into a scoop. You back drag.
So I had that happen, but with thick wet snow, I've had the scoop mode open up on me.
Oh, okay.
Because of the weight of the snow, yeah, it won't stay in scoop.
That's never happened with a whiteout for me.
Yeah.
But oh man, these whiteouts and the Fisher XLS is pretty much the same thing. They could take some abuse. I smacked the curb the other day so hard at full force. I was plowing a driveway and I don't have no markers out. And I was trying to get close to this mailbox and I was trying to get out of traffic as well. And I just gunned it. And the blade was angled this way and it took all the force of the truck. It bounced over the curb and it just kicked back, like the hydraulics released, and it went and it just went back in. And it bounced over the curb and that was that. And I'm thinking, well, good thing it's not a Boss. But it just took it. You can't tell nothing happened to it. It didn't break the wing or nothing. It was just fine. So
good.
At least they're all affixed to a Ford Super Duty or for a Ford truck for that matter.
It's crazy what these trucks can do. It's just insane when it's snowing and you're going through that storm. It's just you're like, man, is this truck gonna be all right? You spray the thing off, it's still good. Spray it off, the truck's still good.
So the Boss dealer by me, they only use Ford Super Duties.
Hell yeah.
For their plow fleet because of the solid axle in the front.
That's awesome.
That's interesting because Boss is a lighter plow. So if you want anything on a Chevy, you would want a Boss because whiteouts just are heavy. Fisher XLS are really heavy. So Boss, I think Boss does have down pressure, right?
Now, yeah.
Yeah.
But the dealer told me that the Chevys, they would sag a little more than a Super Duty because Chevys have the independent front suspension. So with the plow raise, the front end drops more, they told me.
That and if the front end drops and you have an independent front suspension, that has an effect on your wheel alignment because any adjustment to your height has to be taken into account before you set your toe with the independent front suspension. So like you pull down the Chevy's front end and the distance between, like your control arms, they look like this, like level, right? For independent front suspension. So you put too much weight on it and then it starts doing this, starts doing that, and now your toe is going to be a little bit off because your tires, as they go down, they get closer, and they do this as they go up and down, like they get further. So your ride height has to be right on those. But on a Super Duty, that's not the case.
So we have a 2013 Silverado 3500 plow truck at work still, and I still think it rides good. The front end, that's the one thing I have to say about it. It rides good.
You mean empty?
Empty, yep.
Yeah, they do have a good front end for being empty. Because you know what's good about those is they like to track a little better. Independent front suspension, it just drives down the road. It doesn't wander as much. Aside from that,
to me, it's almost like a half ton, not quite, but close.
Yeah. Having that independent front suspension does not wander as much as a Super Duty can wander a little bit.
Yeah.
But I will say this though. When I put my plow on my truck, it don't wander no more. It just drives like it's almost like a 150 because all that extra weight is just helping it be more planted, it seems like.
Yeah, I like my Super Duty. It's the best truck I've ever had. But that's the only thing I would say about the Chevy is the ride's pretty good. You know.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, that is a good point. If you're empty, but I will say this too. I don't think their turning radius is as good because of that.
I would agree with you. Yeah.
Because they got those CV joints, and I don't think those CV joints have the same ability to turn as sharp as these half shafts that disengage fully when you turn. Now, I think they might have made the CV joints start to disengage fully in the later years, but I think like even A-Rod's Tahoe, it might not have that where the CV joints disengage. I know my 04, the CV joints would always spin. They were bolted to the hubs, whereas my F-150 had CV joints in the front. They would disengage from the hubs with a vacuum actuator so they didn't spin. But even my 150 didn't have the turning radius of my 250. My 250 would cut in harder than even my 150. You got to think a CV joint can only turn so sharp for it's beyond its ability to turn any sharper. So there's some pros and cons. You know, the CV joint is superior in the sense that it is a constant velocity when it rotates. So if you do turn the amount that it can turn, there's not as much vibrating in the steering. Like when you know how you turn the Super Duty, that steering wheel as you turn, it'll kind of shimmy on you if you get in your full lock while it's in four-wheel drive, or that doesn't happen with a CV joint, but it doesn't turn as sharp. So they tend to still get bound up, so it don't really matter if it doesn't shimmy or not.
Yeah, for me, the aluminum body was definitely a feature that I liked when I was shopping.
Yeah, for me too.
I love my Ford Super Duties. I love talking about them. I love working on them.
They're not going to rust.
We Aluma-Dutied. Tell us in the comment section if you have an Aluma-Duty.
I haven't seen any rust yet. I haven't seen any rust on one yet. Any corrosion problems.
Good.
Aluma-Duties out there.
I used to see like aluminum issues back in the day. Like aluminum parts would have the flakiness coming off of them. But on a vehicle that's been all aluminum from the start, that's not a mixture of metals from Ford, I haven't seen any problems yet. Paint seems pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm in an aluminum trailer right now. Aluminum frame trailer.
Well, I think that might be a good time to I'm just reading a comment. That's
what did it say?
This guy's like, the F-250's got Bluetooth drive shafts. Unbelievable. And everybody who's watching, we'll bring this podcast number 12 to an end. Tell us what you liked, what you didn't like, what you want to see. We're going to talk about trucks nonstop. That's what we do here on the Powerstroke Tech Talk podcast. Thanks so much for our newcomers, Nate and Svets. We appreciate you phoning in. Ryan, appreciate the sideline, and DS always. Check out my email here at the top above my head. If you guys want to get on the show, I'll get you in queue and you can talk about your truck with us here on the podcast. Thanks so much, guys. We'll see you next time.